All right, guys, this article right here is really something. Trump's Truth Social app plummets in traffic, sees 93% drop in signups since launch week. Jesus Christ. That's a huge drop. Former President Donald Trump's Truth Social app is seeing a 93% drop in signups and similarly steep decline in traffic after a rocky rollout last month, fraught with technical issues and an extensive waiting list for new signups to actually use the service. I had heard about the waiting list thing because some people who I follow signed up for it as like a gaffe, you know? Wait, gaffe? Is that the word I'm looking for? As like a joke, basically. Not a gaffe. Gaffe is like when people fuck up speaking. Like me saying gaffe there is actually a gaffe. Anyway, people signed up for it as like a joke, right? And they were tweeting like, this is the number I am on the waiting list, and it'd be some like preposterously high number. It really is crazy. I don't know how do you launch the website? And it's like not really functional at all at the beginning. That's crazy. After going live on President's Day, the Twitter lookalike app saw installs decline by more than 800,000 since its launch week, according to Sensor Tower. Installs on the Apple App Store this month have fallen to about 60,000 per week, based on early estimates. This is down 93% from its launch week, when it saw 872,000 installs during the week of February 21st. Stephanie Chan, mobile insight strategist at Sensor Tower, told the Wrap, "We estimate that Truth Social has so far reached approximately 1.2 million installs since its launch, and there's no data about how many actually use the site, which is not yet available to Android customers." Wow, so they launched it, they don't have it for Android customers yet. On its desktop site, Truth Social has also seen a significant decline in traffic following the launch period. TruthSocial.com spiked to 6 million visits during the week of February 20th, but has dropped to about 1.9 million weekly visits in recent weeks, according to SimilarWeb. The App Store download page visits also declined from 361,000 visits during launch week to some 90,000 weekly visits last week. A rep for Truth Social did not respond to a request for comment. Even having Trump as the face of the platform, the app is struggling to compete in a saturated social media market. Many apps have entered the scene as alternatives to big tech platforms like Facebook and Twitter that have drawn ire from Trump and other conservatives. Former Trump aide Jason Miller's Twitter clone Getter has reached some 1.9 million daily users with 6.7 million global installs, while Parler has about 11.3 million global installs, according to Sensor Tower. Trump has not joined Getter. Creating your own social network is not as an easy thing to do, David Carr, senior insights manager at SimilarWeb, said. You have to be significantly better and more interesting. Carr noted that the initial burst of interest in Truth Social dissipated very quickly. Quote, "It did mirror the pattern we have seen before when Trump tried a couple of other things, showing a spike in interest and going away quickly," he said, referring to Trump's past projects that include his now defunct blog. Truth and its competitors mostly target a conservative audience, touting a social network that defends freedom of speech over big tech's censorship after Trump himself was suspended from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and a handful of other social media apps last year for violating their content policies. The demographics for Truth's site initially showed nearly half, 47% of visitors in January, came from outside the U.S., with the majority, 70% of them, male, according to SimilarWeb. Okay, so look, on a serious note, obviously the easy point is like, haha, hee hee, laughing at Trump for setting this thing up, and it appears to already be a mess. And there were reports a couple of weeks ago that he was like really lashing into and yelling at the people who were responsible for, you know, doing all the ins and outs and the specifics of this site, and that he was pissed off with how the launch went. But on a serious note, see, this is why I feel like the libertarian answer to big tech's problems, it's just not a good answer. Of course, the libertarian answer is just do more competition. That's it. Like, just come up with a new site. Hopefully the site's better. Hopefully it eventually takes over from the old site, and then we're good, and have like better policies along with that new site. And I just don't think that's a good answer, man, because effectively when you look at like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, these sites have cornered the market so thoroughly that they really are like the new public square. They are. And so in my opinion, the only way to like solve the various issues with big social media outlets is to regulate them like public utilities and expand First Amendment protections so people have more free speech. Now, again, that doesn't mean that you could do direct threats of violence or doxing or targeted harassment or like a number of things that actually violate the law. If it violates the law, you also can't do it in the public square. You can't do it on the platform, of course. But outside of that, everything should be leaned heavily on the side of free speech. And unfortunately, you see way too much deplatforming and censorship and moderation and filtration on these sites now. And it's terrible. It's terrible. So, but again, this is an example of the libertarian idea implemented to try to fix that problem. And it doesn't fix shit. It doesn't fix anything. Usually these sites come up short, or what happened with Gab is that it just became like Nazi Central, because people were like, oh, if they're not going to ban us for anything, then only like the people with the super extreme views went over there. And so the only way to fix the problem is to regulate the big social media companies like their public utilities. That's it. That's all you can do. So anyway, Trump's thing is an absolute mess. Let's see how long until it completely folds. It's got to be at some point, right? Because look at everything else. Remember when Trump had like Trump the board game and Trump steaks? And by the way, he sold, I'm not joking about this, look it up if you don't believe me, he sold Trump steaks only at the Sharper Image. You know the show, the store, the Sharper Image? That's where he sold Trump steaks. Like, what? Why would you sell steaks at Sharper Image? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. So anyway, he's had all those things, and of course, the big one was Trump University, of which he had to pay out millions of dollars because he basically was committing fraud on a large scale. So you can't just launch something and call it a university. You need to be accredited. He wasn't accredited, and it had classic signs of a fraud, like upselling and things of that nature. And so anyway, this is not going well, and it's going to go into the Trump ash heap of history of all the other failed businesses that he had, where the only thing he did that was really super successful, of course, was The Apprentice. You know, he was coasting off of his last name, the fact that his dad gave him a shitload of money, and then The Apprentice. Everything else was like he just played the boss man on TV, but all of his businesses were colossal failures. So anyway, this one is going to go that path too. But there you have it. Truth Social, already in dire straits.